My name is Julie Schmelzer. I'm the village administrator. Our chair is not present today, so I will be conducting the meeting and the public hearing. So we are calling the meeting to order at 11:01 a.m. And real quick, I'm just going to do roll call. Doug Hansen.
Here.
Nancy Ackerley.
Here.
Kathleen Van Gemmer.
Here.
Patrice Shampoo is absent, and so is Lily Orozco. We do have a quorum though, so we will proceed to conduct business. Before we start, I would just ask that everybody sign in on the sign-in sheet. We do have to turn that sheet in with our CDBG application to show that the public was present. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All right, motion carried in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approval of the November 12th, 2024 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? Nancy?
Second.
Second by Doug. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, before we get started, I'll ask for some comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public, but we will have an opportunity as well when we get into the public hearing. So if you have any comments not related to the public hearing, we'd want to hear those now. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. So we're going to move into the public hearing, and we're going to open the public hearing at 11:03 a.m. And this is a public hearing for a proposed community development block grant application. And it is for the renovation of the Village Hall on Bay Shore Drive and for the adoption of a citizen participation plan. And I, real quick, am just looking for some notes here. Okay, so we're going to start the public hearing by identifying the total potential funding available. So last year in Wisconsin, in total, including entitlement and non-entitlement communities, and entitlement communities are your bigger communities like that have higher low to moderate income populations, such as Milwaukee, Neenah, areas like that. So for entitlement and non-entitlement communities, there were 22 CDBG grant awards in this program, totaling $27 million. They range from $202,000 to $15 million, which was Milwaukee. Sister Bay is a non-entitlement community, and there is $10 million set aside in the CDBG Public Facilities Program for the non-entitlement communities. For our type of municipality, the non-entitlement, the maximum grant award is $1 million. Based on past practices, the Division of Energy, Housing, and Community Resources has awarded more than the $10 million mentioned. So sometimes the awards are based on whether they have the available additional funding or not. In the past, we were not eligible to apply for funds because our low to moderate income population was not high enough. 51% of the population must be considered low to moderate income. This past year, though, for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, our low to moderate income population increased to 59.6%, which made us eligible to apply for funding. This is not surprising considering our poverty rates have increased too. From 2012 to 2022, poverty rates increased by 320% in the village, meaning as of 2022, we had 26% of our population living in poverty for the U.S. Census Bureau compared to just 9% 10 years earlier. Number two, we're going to talk about eligible CDBG activities. So this application is under the CDBG Public Facilities Program, and program activities or things they fund under that program include infrastructure projects like road and sewer and water systems, and public facilities such as community centers, which is what we are proposing to use the Village Hall for. There are other CDBG programs such as the Economic Development Program to assist businesses, a program for affordable housing, which is what most people think of when they hear about CDBG programs, and one for natural and man-made disasters. The full list is available at the Energy and Housing website at energyandhousing.wi.gov. Number 3, we're gonna talk about the identified community development and housing needs. So this includes, for us, it includes a 2023 survey where the public spoke and told us they wanted a community center. In particular, they wanted the old village hall to become a community center. So the public spoke and said, we have a need, we want to save the building, and we want it to be used as a community center. That survey did talk about other uses for that building, but a community center is the one that rose to the top. We know of other needs as well, such as infrastructure needs in the community. And now that we are eligible for CDBG funding, we can apply for funding for those needs as well. Our chair also serves as the chair of the housing committee, and she knows that we lack affordable housing. I think many of us in the community realize we lack affordable housing. So we can try to secure CDBG funding to help with that issue as well. Again, you don't want to write a CDBG grant application every year because you probably won't get funded. But I think it is something worth pursuing to make sure that we can have the funding we needed to address our affordable housing issues as well. Number 4, we're going to talk about the activities proposed in the CDBG application. These include this public hearing to lay out a plan on how we'll involve the low to moderate income population and others to be aware of our intentions. We will be holding another hearing if we get funded and after construction has begun. The village board has and hopefully will adopt resolutions and ordinances to ensure fair and open housing and other measures as required by the CDBG program. Both the March and April board agendas include these resolutions and ordinances. And just real quickly, I'll go through what has been adopted so far and what the board will be discussing tonight. So at the last board meeting, we did adopt an ordinance called a fair and open housing ordinance. We adopted a policy to prohibit which is a policy to prohibit the use of excessive force and to enforce applicable state and local laws prohibiting physically barring entrances, exits for nonviolent civil rights demonstrations. We also adopted a resolution addressing residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance. It's a plan. We also adopted a resolution to adopt that fair and open housing ordinance, which I referenced earlier. And then tonight we will hopefully adopt a resolution to adopt the citizen participation plan, which has been made part of this meeting packet and agenda. A resolution authorizing to commit funds and certification of match funds secured. And a resolution authorizing submission of a CDBG grant application. And a resolution creating a CDBG citizen participation plan committee that would carry out the public participation plan. Be advised, this program does require a 2-to-1 match, meaning if it costs $1.5 million for the project, we would have to provide $500,000. The board has approved $500,000 in the 2027 capital improvement plan for the required match if needed. As we know, capital improvement plans can change, but that is what is out there right now in the adopted plan. I will review any review of any potential residential and non-residential displacement. With CDBG programs, they want to make sure you're not displacing low to moderate income housing or people out of that housing. This is not an issue with this particular project in that no one lives at the village hall and there is no adjacent residential development. So although we really do advocate that if you're having a CDBG program, that you not displace people, they are not affected by this particular grant application in this project. Number 6, resident input regarding community development and housing needs, the proposed CDBG project and other CDBG activities. So we are proposing a citizen participation plan, which has been made part of the packet, to engage persons, especially the low to moderate income population, in the proposed project. Has everyone had a chance to review the plan that was in the pack?
Can you define what is the current low to middle income?
Yes, so this is by definition, it is families and individuals whose incomes do not exceed 80% of the median income of Sister Bay as determined by the Secretary of the Department of Energy and Housing, with adjustments for smaller and larger families. The term persons of low income means families and individuals whose incomes do not exceed 50% of the median income of the area involved, as determined by the Secretary, with adjustments for smaller and larger families. The term persons of moderate income means families and individuals whose incomes exceed 50%, but do not exceed 80% of the median income of the area involved, as determined by the Secretary, with adjustments for smaller and larger families. So with the citizen participation plan, we outline basically that we're going to have this plan to engage the public. We're going to have a committee. The resolution that goes to the board tonight is to have the Village Hall Planning Task Force serve as that committee, since they are the ones that are involved with the project. Any public hearing they have will be made as a Class 2 notice, and it will be published in the Peninsula Pulse. All notifications of meetings and any available assistance will be worded in such a way as to encourage low to moderate income population participation. We will have public hearings. The first hearing will receive citizens' views and provide an explanation of the community development needs, objectives, and strategies. And the second will be the CDBG program, including goals, objectives, application process. I'm sorry, that's part of the first one yet. The CDBG program, including goals, objectives, application process, amount of funds available, timetable, eligible activities, etc. The second hearing that we will have will receive citizens' views and provide a review of the performance of the funded activities. So we have this one now, but once we get into the project and start progressing, that is when we're actually going to have another second public hearing to see what the public thinks. Are there any concerns to address anything that they have comments on? We will have program information files in assistance. Basically, staff at the Village Hall is able to help anyone who has questions. We will maintain the files at, not the Village Hall, the administration office will maintain the files at the administration office at 2383 Maple Drive. People are welcome to continue to make comments and submit those to the village office. And if they would like, they can actually petition or request in writing assistance or any changes that they would like to see. If there are any complaints, they would be addressed to the village clerk. She is our first contact. That would be at 2383 Maple Drive. If there are concerns above that, you can also contact the state, which would be the Wisconsin Department of Energy and Administration, Division of Energy, Housing, and Community Resources. We will respond to any residents' requests for reasonable accommodations, whether it be accessibility concerns or making provisions for hearing impaired, or even interpretation services. So this plan that I just outlined, if acceptable, and if the Village Hall Planning Task Force recommends approval, it will go to the board this evening for adoption. Lastly, if there's any resident input regarding community development and housing needs, the proposed CDBG project and other CDBG activities, we would want to know about those now. Although this project is very specific, we would like to take comments on other needs so we can let the board know of any other needs identified. I have put on your desk, the committee's desk, and the public's tables, a draft of the proposed plans for the project. It is just a draft, and the final will be available after May 15th. when we submit the application. But this, draft on the desk does outline what was proposed for the building. Basically, it is to make the building accessible by having an addition off the south side, which would also have an elevator. It would have restrooms off back, which would serve the marina and the park and anyone using the property. It would also have a deck or an expansion area off the stage area. So anyone using the stage would be able to go outside. It provides for renovation of the kitchen, installation of AV equipment, converting 2 old restrooms to basically like a ticket booth or a reception area. One of the other restrooms would be converted to a coat room, so people would have their coats. There would be a ramp within the building to access the stage, and then storage under the stage for tables and chairs. With that, are there any comments, questions, or concerns from the public?
I just have one comment.
Could you state your name, please?
I'm Yvonne Wiltsey. I reside at Kessel Lane. I'm delighted that this is moving forward for the village hall. That it's one of the few things remaining from our past. And delighted that you can apply for a grant. But it's saddened to know that we qualified because of the poverty level here in town. That's just a couple thoughts that come to my mind. I mean, delighted that we can do this and get help from the state. But the fact that it's because people live below the poverty line is kind of makes your heart sick. And that's another need we have here, the housing and the affordability and wages.
Yeah, I think, and using future CDBG funds, if available, to help address some of those concerns will help our community improve as well, especially in the aspect of housing, affordable housing. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the task force?
Close.
Kathleen, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Well, at 11:19 a.m., we will close the public hearing. And enter into item 7 on our agenda, which is recommend citizen participation plan to the village board for adoption. We would do this in the form of a resolution, which was in your packet. So, do we want to recommend this to the board for adoption? It is the plan itself that we would be recommending.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Is that a
Yes.
motion? Kathleen, was that a second?
Yes,
Okay, all those in favor?
I,
All right, motion carried. So this citizen participation plan will be forwarded to the board for adoption this evening. And as far as matters to be placed on a future agenda or referred to a committee, official, or employee, when we do have final plans and know a little bit more about this grant application, the success of it, we'll be reaching out with more meetings to the task force to try and keep the project moving forward, basically. You know, if there is any concern over funding, we're gonna have to talk about strategies for funding. And like I said, we'll have to keep looking at all our options to make sure the project happens if that's the intent of the task force.
and, the task force is still, excuse me, existing through December of this year, correct?
The task force is in place through the, if I remember right, I don't have that right in front of me, Nancy, but it is for the, duration of the CDBG project. So it's the application, and then if if grant is awarded, we continue until completion. So, but we would wanna, the grant application is not awarded, we would want to talk to the board, to see if they want to continue having the task force, maybe pursuing other funding options or other concerns that we may have. So that is something I think that we want to discuss at a future meeting.
And maybe replacing Aretha and
We do, yeah, so the village president has to make recommendations to the board on committee appointments. And because we do not, because Aretha has resigned, hopefully he will be appointing somebody to take her place on that. So,
And when will they make a decision about this grant?
I believe it is July. I believe as early as mid-July, we would know something.
That's helpful.
And so the marina funding for the back bathrooms, is that all part of this discussion somewhere? Or,
That has to happen yet, so, I just got this draft, the progress set today, so I'll be forwarding it to the marina manager. And then, once we know the cost, of course, as you know, they're supposed to pay for their portion of it, so we have to try and figure out what that costs, that portion. And then the remainder is obviously what we would have to, if you get the grant, that's fantastic, but if not, we're gonna have to figure out what the project costs minus the marina contribution. And that is what we would need to complete the project.
But the village does have 500,000.
It's in the 2027 capital improvement plan. One of the issues or concerns is that capital improvement plan changes every year, every budget season. So it is something we'd want to make sure that money is still there, and if it's removed, we would have to fundraise or figure out a way to pay for that if we want the project to continue. And I think the public has said they want the project to continue.
Right. Right. Yeah. Worthy use of my tax dollars, I'll tell you.
Okay, that is the end of the public hearing and our meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn at 11:19 a.m. 11:24 a.m.
I make a motion.
Motion by Doug,
Seconded.
second by Nancy. All those in favor?
I.
I.
Right, motion carried. Thank you, everybody.